Hello, this is video 4 of the Interim 3 at Mercer Middle School for 8th grade. This standard asks you to understand and apply the Pythagorean theorem to find the distance between 2 points on a coordinate system. So when it says in a coordinate system, it's talking about a graph. So we have 2 points, for example. We'd have a point over here, and we'd have a point over here, and we'd want to find the distance between those 2 points. In order to do that, we need to know not only the location of those points, but think about a right triangle that could be drawn between them. So there's point 1, there's point 2, and think about this change in x value as the horizontal or distance, and then change in y value as the vertical distance. So notice that we created a right triangle. This would be the change in y, and this would be the change in x. And if we know those two values, that's like side A of a right triangle, and that's like side B of a right triangle. So we can use that to find side C of a right triangle. So just because there isn't actually a triangle drawn here doesn't mean we're not going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find that. So distance between 2 points. We could do this graphing bit, but there's another strategy for imagining that graph. So let's do a quick sketch of that graph just so you can kind of see what we're talking about here. Here's an x-axis, y-axis coordinate system, a coordinate grid. -10, 4, let's estimate that way over here, -10, and down here at -4, let's say. And then we have +9 on the x-axis and -12, that's way down here. So we've got these 2 points. We want to know the distance between them. So from here to here is how long? Well, we can see there's a right triangle. There's a vertical distance, a horizontal distance. I'm doing an estimate here, so don't worry about my messiness here. And we know we can find this distance because we're starting at my x value, -10, and my y value here is -4. And we're going to this point right here. The x value is at 9, and the y value is way down here at -12. So my change in x values, x1 and x2, would be how far is it from -10 to 9? Well, let's look here. -10 to 9 would be this distance right here. -10, I have to go 10 spaces to get to 0 and 9 more to get to 9. That's a distance of 19. So this side of my right triangle would be 19 units long. That's side A. Now let's find side B. So side B, y1 and y2, how far apart are those y values? I was at -4 on this point, and I moved down to -12 on this point. So in order to find that, I can go from -4 right here all the way down to -12. How long is that? Well, I'm at -4 already, and I go down to -12. I moved 8 spaces down. So this side of my right triangle would be 8. So now I've got 2 sides. I've got an 8 here, so I've got a squared. I've got b over here, which is 19 squared, and that will help me find c squared. And c is the side I'm looking for. So I found my A, I found my B, I found my C. Now there is another way to find those side lengths that I'm going to do over here, just in case you don't want to draw this sketch, because remember, it's not a perfect sketch I drew, it's just an estimated idea of where the points are. So let's say you wanted to actually use the formula that you've been working on in class. So we've got change in y would be y2, take away y1, that would find this y distance here, over x2, which is 9, take away x1, which is -10. So -12 minus negative turns into plus. So -12 plus 4 is -8. And then 9, take away -10, 9 plus 10 is 19. Now we're finding distance, so we don't need negative when we're finding distance. That just says it's 8 spaces long. This is 19 spaces long, which is where I got this 8 from, and this 19 from. So either way you want to do this on a graph, or if you want to do it using the idea of change in y over change in x, either way you get 8 for one distance and 19 for the other, and therefore find c. So let's do our math. 8 squared is 64. 19 squared. Now you get a calculator on some of this test, and on other parts of this test you don't get a calculator. So I'm going to assume you have a calculator for this part. So 19 times 19 is 361. You could have done that math on the paper as well, though. Over here you could have done 19 times 19 and done your math there. But let's assume that you have a calculator. Equals c squared. Again, assuming you have a calculator, you'd be able to add 361 plus 64, and you'd get 425. Equals c squared. We're almost there. We now know that the square off of side c is 425. So we're going to find the square root of that, again, using a calculator. If you don't have one, you can estimate or do some guess and check. I know that 20 squared is 400, so it's a little more than 20. 20.62 is what I'd round to. So that tells me that my distance between this point and this point would be side c, which is 20 and 62 hundredths. So again, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So my distance is 20 and 62 hundredths units long. Remember that if you need help on this, you can go to khanacademy.org. You can search for standard 8G8, or you can look up Pythagorean theorem and the word distance. You could also go to Morning Math, ask your teacher for lunch help, or add to your toolkit if you feel like this is something you're going to want to look at during your test.